Tonight in the battleground state of Georgia, CNN will host the first presidential debate of the 2024 campaign. Some say it might be the only debate. President Biden and former President Trump will each make their bid to the American public for a second term. That'll be in CNN studio. No audience this time. The economy will likely be a hot button issue, and both of them have records. Both of them have served. Biden almost a full term. President Trump did have a full term. Our former economic expert. Well, you're still an economic expert. There you go. Randy Waesche is joining us this morning. First of all, both these men have records to run on.
Yes.
They both had things that showed that they did really good things in the economy.
Absolutely.
But the COVID crisis, it marred the end of Mr. Trump's term and really put a damper really on the beginning of Mr. Biden's term.
Yep, and that's where all the statistics get blurred. Because if you want to look at, say, the stock market, you can argue that it was better under the Biden administration. In fact, it was better if you look at it.
Well, because it's higher, record highs, yeah.
Yes, but it started for such a low level. Whereas Trump also did quite well under the stock market, but he didn't start with such a low base. Or you could look at, Biden's accused of all the inflation that's out there. And absolutely, I think inflation's up 19% since Biden took over.
But that was COVID that caused
that. So the net result is I've looked over everything and over administrations beyond. The president doesn't have that much influence on the economy.
And that's what a lot of people say, because when a president does very well and he takes the credit for it, then the opposition says, well, you really don't have that much power. Then when they get in and it does well, they go, well, I did this.
Look how well I've done. They're aggrandizing, and both are pretty good at that.
And right now, there was, when Mr. Trump left office, it was the lowest unemployment rate we've had since Herbert Hoover, but it wasn't his fault. I mean, the COVID hit and it just wrecked the economy. Then when Biden got into office, we were still in COVID, and the ramifications, we didn't realize just how bad inflation would get, not just here, but around the world.
And you can't blame Biden for the policies that were initiated under Trump and promulgated by the Federal Reserve. Those were issues that we had to do. We had to stimulate the economy. We had to go and give those stimulus programs, or we would have been mired in a recession for a long, long time.
Well, and both Trump and Biden did give money to stimulate the economy.
Yes,
during COVID. And so instead of looking at just their records in the past, because they both do have records, as we said, probably the most important thing is, what are your plans for the future?
Absolutely.
For each man?
And my fear there is that's where you can dig down a little bit deeper. Trump increased the national debt significantly higher than Biden, almost twice as much. Yet Biden was dealing with the COVID-related issues significantly more than Trump was. Trump's policies are driven by, I want to continue the tax cuts and I want to increase the tax cuts.
Because they're set to expire.
Yes. He wants to go and do tariffs. Well, those policies don't help the national debt, which I concede is the most critical component for the next 10 years. And the tariffs are very costly to the consumer. It's not a cost to China, it's a cost to the people buying the goods and services.
Well, President Biden has also levied some tariffs too.
Yes, he has.
So, there are economic experts who say if the tariffs, if Mr. Trump gets in and he does institute those tariffs he's promised to do, it could increase inflation.
Absolutely, because the cost of the goods are going to go higher. The tariff is a tax on the imports, but someone's got to pay that tax. And the theory is it's being paid by China, but it's just passed on to the consumer.
So what do you think voters should be looking at? Because there's politics involved, there's emotion involved, but when you look at the raw numbers on both our records and what they're actually telling the American public they want to do in their next administration, that's what I guess voters should be looking at closely.
Well, if we come to the conclusion that the economy is going to go in cycles like the seasons go on, and where cycle you're in is going to affect your administration from an economic point of view, one of the things that I'm looking at is character. Who's the character? What is the American public or the American nation built on? Honesty, compassion, ability to help all levels. Who's the best that's going to communicate those types of qualities to the public? Who's going to implement those types of policies to the public? We have some major issues coming up with wage disparity. We've got some major issues coming up with wealth disparity. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't be earning a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that those who have worked hard shouldn't be benefiting, but the tax structure has an impact on that.
And in fairness, Trump did kind of get a pass on COVID. Biden has not gotten anywhere of the appreciation that he was hoping for the economy, which is actually pretty strong.
Absolutely.
That'll have to be the last word. We'll be watching tonight. The 90-minute debate starts tonight at 8 o'clock. You can see it right here on WWL Louisiana.